welcome to another episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Our hosts, Sri Rajgopalan, Peter V.S. Bond, and Brian Gildenberg, explore how brands and retailers engage consumers in an increasingly digitally driven world. And now, here are the CPG Guys.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the CPG Guys podcast. I'm of course Sri. I've recently left General Mills from the CCO role. I'm your co-host, and joining me live today is none other than my partner in this journey, 4 years, 400 episodes, Mr. Bond, also known as Peter. And when he's not co-hosting this podcast, he serves as the Partnership Acceleration Lead at Flywheel, a division of Omnicom that helps enterprise brands improve their SEO and SEM, growing their e-commerce businesses. Please do listen to my older daughter Ria Raj's music at www.riaraj.com. She just recently performed at the YouTube headquarters at San Francisco, and follow my younger daughter Lara Raj as a member of the Geffen Records Universal Music Group Cat's Eye Band, while my wife Kavita Raj has her own podcast, Lights Camera Convo, already on iHeartRadio and all streaming platforms. In June, the entire Raj family has had their own podcast or broadcast media. Mr. Bond, kind of crazy. How you doing, man? Here in Minneapolis.
Your three cats don't have their own podcast yet. I'm using that qualifier.
They've got an Instagram page.
Oh, they do have an Instagram page.
They've got followers, like 1,000.
By the way, we've already used three acronyms and we haven't demystified them. So just right, I should break those down right. CPG is consumer packaged goods, right? And then SEO is search engine optimization, and SEM is search engine marketing, which is basically paid and organic search. But I thought we should just demystify, because that's what we're about. We're about bringing the audience
education
along.
podcast?
It
I thought
is.
it was a baseball podcast.
Entertainment. It is baseball, because, our teams are atop their respective divisions.
All I know is that the Yankees swept the Twins at the time of this recording.
Ooh, that was pretty ugly.
It was a tough game. I was there.
That was a tough game.
I'm
happy to be here, Sri. I love being live with you back in our old stomping grounds of the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. I used to live here. You did some work here for a certain consumer packaged goods company, but it's good to be here and really excited about our conversation today with our special guest.
Likewise, excited as well. Before we get to our guest, we want to ask you to help spread the word about this community we've created in the CPG Guys beyond sharing our podcast with your friends. If you're using Apple Podcasts or Spotify as your preferred listening platform, leave us a rating, as it helps feed the algorithm that makes us more findable by CPG retail people like you looking for education and entertainment. More importantly, your rating also tells us how we're doing. Are we having the right conversations, the right guests? We're happy that the CPG Guys is part of an impressive collection of highly rated podcasts, including CPG Guys Fast Forward, hosted by Brian Gildenberg, CPG Scoop with Risa and Jennifer, and the FMCG Guys across the Atlantic Pond, over in Western Europe with Daniel, Efrain, and Christine. And finally, we're incredibly proud of our allyship with Next Up, whose mission is to advance the cause of women in business and to promote gender equality in the workplace. I serve on the board of directors leading the development committee of Next Up. Links to our podcast, our sister casts, a landing page on Next Up, and the social media profiles of my daughters Ria and Laura and Kavita's podcast can be found in the digital liner notes of this episode. And now, on to the special conversation live from Minneapolis, Minnesota. The last mile delivery space, of course, has been very crowded for quite a bit at this stage. With services seeking to outdo one another in speed to consumer, we've seen many start up, we've seen many shut down, and I feel no one has found a magic formula yet. And that's the conversation we're going to have today. Is there a magic formula? From 2 day to 1 day to same day, same hour, more services have appeared on the landscape. Most have proven to be unsustainable from a profitability perspective. This competitive spiral has been predicated on the belief that consumers are primarily focused on the need for immediate satisfaction, immediate consumption, and a willingness to pay for that experience. But the perception for where consumers exist on the urgency versus value equation line is not necessarily accurate. And enter a new last mile delivery model seeking to drive value for consumers while rejecting that crazy immediate snacking type of immediate frenzy that other last mile delivery solutions have embraced. Nobody thought of doing pantry stock-ups, did they, Peter? Until this new last mile delivery.
I think that's why we found this so fascinating when we met our guest today down at the FMI Midwinter Executive Conference. It really did spark curiosity from us on, wait, they're actually going after a more desirable trip mission, and they're doing it in spite of where most of the rest of the industry is going, which is getting that small basket immediate satisfaction which loads onto it an enormous amount of cost that can't be amortized across a much larger basket.
And here's the kind of error the others have done. If you look at all of shopping in food and grocery center store, 20% is impulse, convenience, 80% is stock up.
Exactly.
So they're going after that 80% of the largest section. So who are we talking to today? None other than Buncha. So here to speak with us about the last mile delivery landscape and how he believes that Buncha is flipping the model on its head with tremendous success is the founder and CEO of Buncha, who's now a second-time guest on the CPG Guys. I want to say third, because he had a whole bunch of video clips talking to investors.
Does count towards the jacket? I don't know. He probably thinks they do.
I don't know if he knows. Do you know? There's a varsity jacket at 5. You're getting close, man.
We just interviewed someone yesterday that is fourth time on.
Okay.
And she's like really hungry for that jacket.
Only 2 have earned.
Only 2 have earned.
The covetous 5 so far and have gotten the jacket.
For grocery shop,
It's coming.
I think it could
So
happen.
we've got a target mission over here, Peter. He featured with us back on the week of 13th of March with his message for why brands, retailers, and investors should partner with Buncha, and also was a guest with us back on the podcast in mid-March. I'll correct that and say he was with us on the week of 13th of May with his message for investors, brands, and retailers. And the podcast, of course, March 2024. How you can find that, simply go to cpgguys.com on an episodes type search, type Buncha, and boom, it pops
There
right
it
up.
is.
Join us in welcoming to the podcast, Bharat Pulgam. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. You guys are here. Peter, Sri, thanks for coming to our hometown and Bunch's HQ.
Live from Minneapolis, Minnesota. How about
You
that?
could be, what a voice. You could be a podcaster.
Yankees announcer.
I know.
That's all we got.
Did you see what I sent you this morning?
With radio faces, podcast is where we should be.
I just bought my first Cameo, and I sent him a link to the Yankees broadcaster on Cameo. I'm like, I think that could be someone who's making.
You should have sent that to my kids and my
for
wife.
like when we hit episode 500. That may be an investment.
amazing.
There you
It's
go.
coming. So we appreciate you making time to speak with us about the last mile delivery landscape. But before we get to our questions, can you give us a quick 60-second overview? Who is Buncha?
Yeah, thanks again for having me on the show. I love talking about Buncha from, looking at how we actually started back in the day, right? Like we didn't have some crazy epiphany when we began. It was really, I was back home during the pandemic. I was with my parents, and my mom just asked me a simple question. I just said, "Hey, can you go to Costco and grab some groceries for me?" And I'm like, "Mom, why don't you just use Instacart? Why don't you use any of these other delivery apps? I'm in my pajamas, right? I don't want to leave." And she just says, "I don't need any of this stuff delivered in 2 hours, and I don't want to pay the fees to get it delivered in 2 hours." And it was such an interesting.
I think a fair response from mom, though. I don't want to pay $9.95. I mean, I don't.
And your son, as an indentured servant, is a very affordable delivery mechanism.
But he said no.
Right. I
Well, I understand why he said no, but for her, no, yes. The answer is yes.
I'm not going to get into the fight we had after. I asked that question, but, no, I was looking online. I was on Twitter, now X at the time, and was looking at all these other grocery delivery companies that were getting funded, but it wasn't even 1 hour. It was 15 minutes, and I'm like, my mom, there are some occasions, sure, maybe where she needs 15 minutes, but most of the stuff. There's a list on the fridge that she picks up, and then her and my dad go to Costco and grab the list, right? And so what ended up happening was I ended up going to Costco, and then she's like, "Hey, let the neighbors know that you're going to Costco.
Be a good son.
Be a good son.
Tell the neighbors."
Right? I made some money off of it.
There you go.
I was like, "Hey, I'll go for a couple bucks." And over the course of a few weeks, we just started to get people that every Wednesday they would come to us and say, "Hey, can you grab these groceries? Can you grab these groceries from Costco? Can you grab these groceries? Can you grab these groceries?"
And from necessity, innovation is born.
Exactly. And what was fascinating was it was 2 interesting realizations, right? One, the groceries that people were ordering from us, or not even groceries, just the basic necessities, right? Soap, deodorant, all that stuff, pretty much the same products over and over and over again. It was at that point where we'd be like, "Hey, do you want me to grab you what I got for you last week?" "Oh yeah, minus tomatoes, add milk." "Great, I got it."
Favorites list.
Favorites.
Product attribute.
Favorites list.
That's a feature. That's a product feature.
Right. That we have now. But we, that's kind of how we started. We kept going, and now Buncha is where it is today. We've raised. We're a Series A company. Have over 100 people live in Minneapolis and Denver, and we're just so excited to be bringing this innovation, which is actually quite simple. It's the milkman. It's helping consumers get a more affordable option. It's like the milkman, right? Buncha is like the modern day milkman. And we're basically helping consumers have a more affordable, the most affordable grocery delivery option that's out there today. And we think that when we look at the space today, and we look at what people need when it comes to groceries, sure, there is room for instant. Like there are some, like I'm not gonna lie, I use DoorDash all the time, right? I need stuff instantly. But the reality is that those big purchases, they don't need to be instant. And by giving consumers another option, by making it more affordable and also more reliable and have a better experience, which we'll talk about, we're able to, open up the delivery market and get more consumers to experience the magic of delivery.
I've got only one question in this podcast, and then we can be done. When are you coming to Los Angeles?
We'll be there. Slow and steady.
Awesome. Thank you for that overview and the digital liner notes of this episode. We'll include links, of course, to Bharat's LinkedIn profile and Buncha's LinkedIn page, Buncha's website, so you can actually become a customer in the markets they serve today, for our listeners to access while we go on with that conversation.
And that's a really important thing, having those links, because you don't have to write it down.
Click and you're in.
90+% of the people who listen to this episode, Sri, are going to do so on a mobile device. So you don't want to be trying to write that down while you're holding that. No, just toggle over to the liner notes and click the hyperlink. It'll take you right there. It makes it really simple to find Bharat, learn more about Buncha. It's a really useful, that's why we put all that content, very rich content, embedded in the digital liner notes. So I encourage you to use those.
So let's get to a Q&A segment. You ready, man?
Of course.
First one is an obvious one. You were here with us in March. It's been a few months, 4 or 5 months now. And what has expanded? What has changed in Buncha?
Yeah, I think that was pre-Shop Talk, right? We did that right before Shop Talk. And man, that conference, it was so awesome to be able to. And we've been iterating on this pitch for retailers for months, right? Years. And we finally, we struck gold. And we had so many amazing conversations and really validated that, hey, there is interest out there for retailers to have, as part of their omni-channel experience, a option for customers to stock up, right? A more affordable option to stock up, a more reliable option where, we actually have W2 drivers. We have refrigerated vehicles that they can trust to deliver with a good experience.
And that trust is important because one of the reasons I am reluctant to use third-party delivery mechanisms is I like to cook. I am very particular about my produce.
Yeah.
And I want to know that the person who's shopping for me knows that about me and is particular in terms of how they're selecting it. So knowing that I have the same person every week bringing those products to me, and if I'm not satisfied, they're going to hear it from me. That's a big deal to me.
100%. And I think what we really kind of honed in on is Buncha has its own flywheel, right? Typically in traditional, shout out to you, Peter, traditional marketplaces, right? The more stores you get, the more customers you get because of selection. The more customers you get, the more orders you get, and more orders typically, as today's delivery marketplaces go, means faster delivery because of density. Well, what we said is instead of speed, can we make it cheaper, right? And can we make it more affordable? When we get more retailers on board, more customers come on board, more customers get more orders, and we're able to make it cheaper for consumers. So that's why our delivery price is only $3.45, right? But back to your question, after Shop Talk, we had, we have dozens of retailers we're talking to that have national reach, and we're right now scoping, hey, for the remainder of this year and early next year, what does that roadmap look like? I think we kind of hit this window of opportunity right now where even Walmart and Amazon are not talking about instant. They're talking about, hey, we delivered 4 billion units same day or next day. So that's the new thing.
Word.
New, but it's already existed, right? So we're like, hey, we're already doing that.
But there are other competitors, like when I think of Amazon, there are other competitors like Temu and Shein that have taken an opposite approach, much like you have,
right,
saying there aren't people that necessarily want that immediate delivery and the price that comes with it. If you can save me money
100%.
And get me the products I want, I'm happy to plan and schedule that out because I'm already going to do that.
100%.
I'm 30 years doing this in CPG and working in the center store. I think you're at I would say a black swan moment where you've chosen to go after stock up trips,
right,
80% of all shopping. Brilliant home delivery community, kind of bring it over from China. It's a successful model,
right,
that's already worked.
Right.
In China, I think where most of the others have gone wrong is still sticking to that immediacy need in our own personal lives, right? 80-85% of what we buy, we're comfortable with it being a stock up trend.
100%.
It's that 15%, and I hate to break the news to everybody, given how the industry's been, that 15% is going back in store.
Right. And I think what we've just noticed, right, is the way the industry has moved today. When you focus on speed, you have to sacrifice cost and quality, right? And people don't want to sacrifice cost and quality when it comes to their groceries, right? And what I think is just really interesting is it's not a new model. The milkman existed, right? The milkman existed. So the last thing I'll say, since March, what's been new is during our conversations at Shop Talk, we realized that stock up trip very valuable for retailers, right? A good, part of their omni-channel 80%. Strategy. Yeah, let's have a stock up option for our customers.
It's what makes for them the trip mission profitable.
Profitable, exactly. But also, it's not just the retailers that care about this. So do the CPGs, right? Yeah. They want not just to have that impulse buyer, but they want that customer that's loyal, right? As I was mentioning earlier, most of those baskets on Buncha are exactly the same. Nearly a quarter.
So the subscription model where you effectively buy consumers out of the purchase cycle is a highly desirable state by brands.
Exactly. And did you know, cool fact, nearly a quarter of our carts on Buncha are built from just hitting reorder on the last cart. Nearly 25%.
Wow.
It's not a surprise though.
No.
Right. Exactly. So no modifications. Literally reorder the exact same cart. So what we built out since March is a few tools for CPGs to advertise to our customers and to get in front of our customers and build that repeat loyal behavior with our audience.
Well, let me get to that because my question for you, Bharat, and thank you for joining us today and for hosting us at Buncha HQ. Why is Buncha a good value proposition for brands, right? What brands and categories should really be talking to Buncha as a mechanism for creating this kind of loyalty relationship with consumers? And can brands work with you on the platform for offers going to consumers?
Yes, 100%. We have, let's take a step back even, right? Like when you look at Buncha's customer base, right? It's a different customer. It's not your, customer that has the disposable income that can afford to get, instant delivery every week. These are people that, they're spending, $250, $400 a month with us, but they don't want to pay the fees. They don't want to pay 20 to 30%. They're your Costco shoppers. They're your budget shoppers, right? And there's a lot of them out there. So when we look at the audience, right, it's a different audience of consumer. And when we think about, hey, what tools can we give our partners to get in front of this audience, right? For retailers, it's affordable delivery. It's white label delivery, which we talked about. For brands, we think about it as, okay, what can we do to drive new to brand? And what can we do to drive LTV? Right. So from a new to brand perspective,
I want to call those out clearly. So new to brand, bringing in households.
Exactly.
And then lifetime value, which brands are actually not that good at. And if this can become a platform to kind of coach them.
Those are the two metrics that I hear more frequently than others from brand marketers, not necessarily salespeople, but brand marketers. They want to understand who's new to my brand and what's the long-term value of the consumer, because then they can figure out if they understand the long-term value, then they can figure out how much they are willing to invest to acquire that consumer.
CAC LTV, it's something we deal with in the startup line all the time, right?
The one thing I do want to mention about is in the last year or so, I would say approximately all the large brands that you're going to be working with have lost 5% of households. Great way to get them back.
Yeah.
It's almost like they'll be new to households, again to brand.
I'll just quickly talk about those options, right? So we have a really cool sampling program, which gets you not only just samples, but also consumer testing. So, we're talking to a company right now and they're like, hey, we're launching this new line of gluten-free X, right? We're like, okay, well, we know which customers on Buncha get gluten-free stuff. And because we have W2 drivers, we don't have to spray and pray with these samples. We can drop the specific
surgical
in the bag and then get feedback from the customer saying, hey, would you buy this again? And that's really important, right? It's a very actionable sample because that delivery will be available for that customer next week. So there's an opportunity for that sampler, which we're talking about, to say, hey, we'll waive your delivery fee for $345 if you add these products to your basket. You know,
That's a huge value proposition to the consumer, and it's a huge value proposition to the brand, because they're getting exactly the right consumer. That is the promise of all this big data around behavioral purchasing.
Right.
You can refine your ability to target people who do or don't buy things in combination. Anything to your heart's content, as long as you have a meaningful audience,
right,
then you're able to deliver that to the brand, and they can be much more efficient in terms of bringing the exact right consumer to the brand.
We also have sponsored search, banner advertising in the platform, and really hyper-localized advertising, because the way we territory our areas is by zip code. So we can literally get down to zip code, neighborhood, demographic level targeting, and like, hey, you want to show a specific product to a specific person?
Buncha retail media network.
Yeah, we're working on it, man. We're working on it.
And do you see value proposition for even non-endemic brands who are trying to reach people in a particular community?
Yes, correct.
Bharat, before I go to the next question, next time we're back here at Q4, we have a chat. Are you going to tell me you also have off-site advertising?
It could happen.
We're always moving, man. We're always thinking. I want to say quick one more thing. We also, this is something I personally am geeking out about recently, is we're adding some really cool group buying features.
Group buying. So explain how that works.
Yeah. So if a brand wants Pinduoduo, Alibaba, right?
Exactly.
And if let's say we know a lot of our brands we're talking to are obsessed with campus. They want to get in front of the college student, that life moment, right? So if you want to say, hey, I have this specific type of cookie or energy drink that I want to get on campus, you can say, hey, if 50 people buy this product, we'll discount it by 20%. And we can support that with a native feature built into the Buncha platform.
First in the United States to bring that model. Congratulations.
Yes. And then once you lock them in, subscribe and save. So
crowdsourced savings. I love this.
There you go.
But for continued growth, though, you're talking to brands, you got a lot going on, you're developing the platform itself, there'll be a retail media network in the future. You talked about sponsored search today, but for continued growth, you need investors.
Yes.
So how has investor partnerships been, and how has capital growth been? What is your key message for investors listening to this?
Yeah. And, we have a phenomenal cap table today. We have some excellent investors with deep industry experience. We have amazing advisors such as yourselves that, we're able to contact to figure out, where that industry is headed. But right now we're in an interesting time where, we have the capital to grow, but we really want a strategic partner. We really want someone to take us, help us grow to the next 12, 24, 34 markets. And we think that a strategic partner like a strategic retailer or a strategic CPG is a key to that, right? Strategic CPG dollars have gone into marketplaces before. And we know that. And we think there's
more like a super regional.
Yeah, something like that. And we think we think there's a massive opportunity there for a partnership where, hey, we do get some, we're open to an investment, but also, hey, we want a thought partner as we build out these group buying, these new to brand, with the lens of, hey, how do we get people to stock up with Buncha?
Peter, the one that comes to my mind is I'm gravitating towards Albertsons.
Yep. There are a lot of different ones. I think if you're a brand or a retailer and you have a venture group within your four walls that is seeking to bring new capabilities and new technologies to advance your brand or your retailer, something like this is a really interesting opportunity to get in on the ground floor as you're building this out, and in doing so, really being able to connect with the consumers at that community level and build that loyalty from the ground up.
I mean, I think one of the really cool opportunities right now is that, like, hey, if you come on as a launch partner with Buncha, right? As a CPG, you basically have first right in all these advertising capabilities and the ability to influence the roadmap on these advertising capabilities. And as a retailer, pick up markets, right? Like, hey, we're
influence where you're moving.
Influence where we're moving. So I'm not saying that as a selling point. I'm like, I'm looking for that. I want that.
Yeah.
I want someone to build that with us.
So Bharat, we talked a little bit about why brands should speak with you. We've talked about why investors should be looking at you. Let's talk about, with that investment setting, what are your plans around expansion?
Yeah.
Is it about expanding in the markets you already have? Is it about expanding in other markets? Is it about moving into other industry retail verticals? What is it? All of the above? What's the answer?
I think there's nuance, right? We want to be very tactical and surgical here. So I think the first one is, yes, let's do category expansion. So we are looking at, delivering liquor, pet, and a few other categories that really work well with the stock up, behavior. Summertime's coming up, home gardening, right? Like the number of times my mom goes to Lowe's for the potting soil, the little hammer, whatever, right? So we're thinking about all these other, categories, because our goal in the long run is to become that one-stop shop for customers, right? And I think I talked to you guys about this last time, but when a customer orders on Buncha for $345, it's not just one store. They can get multiple stores delivered at the same time.
That is insane.
And I think we all understand as shoppers, we don't buy all our groceries at the same store. There are certain products. I shop at 5 different grocery stores.
Right.
5 different groceries. There's certain things I like. My daughter likes from this one store. That's why I go to that one. I get all my basic stuff from here. All of that. To be able to aggregate and deliver from a number of different retailers to give me the comprehensive stock up trip.
Right.
All in one, what a value proposition.
And one of the reasons, I know I'm going on a tangent to your question, but I'll get back to it. One of the reasons why we're building that, why we built that, Peter, is because when we're looking at our competitive set, we were like, okay, when we compare ourselves with customers that use existing delivery services, we know we're better, cheaper, more reliable, great. But the other competition is BOPIS customers, right? Buy online, pick up in store. How do we convince them to use Buncha? And it's by aggregating multiple stores together. Yeah. So they don't have to make 7 trips in a day. They order on Buncha one time, it just shows up.
When I was living in Chicago, my Saturday morning had me go to 5 different stores. Yeah. And I knew I would say to my family, I'll see you in about 2.5 hours, because that's how long it's going to take me to do the circuit.
Up, right? And let us pick it up for you.
There you go.
So category expansion is one part of it, because we want to capture the entire stock up trip. Then when we think about, geographic expansion, right? And geographic expansion, this time around, we want to anchor that with retailer expansion. We want to I think it's really critical to have a sponsored launch, or not a sponsored launch, but a launch partner, a core launch partner in this new market. And I think that the reason why we're really, bullish on that this time around is that we really strongly believe that Buncha does best when we intimately understand the communities that we're part of and where those people shop, where are those consumers, where else do they buy, what is the lingo they use? Like we want to get in the community and be part of that, the neighborhood. So by having a launch partner like that allows us to do that. So, post Shop Doc here, we've got like a dozen different retailers that we're talking to, which we're very fortunate, grateful, and blessed to have the opportunity for. And it's just a matter of time.
I hear you may even have a retailer coming in here today to talk to you. So serendipitous time. It's a big day, not just for having the CPG guys here.
Well, that matters.
Yeah.
Of course.
But reminder to audience, we're speaking to Bharat Pulgam, founder and CEO of Buncha, our favorite grocery delivery platform here on the CPG guys. Retail expansion. We just talked about fundraising, investing. What does your current capital flow look at in terms of expansion from a retail perspective, aka cities, neighborhoods?
Yeah.
What's going on?
What's really cool about our model is that we don't need a lot to get started, right? We have this white label model and we have this marketplace model. And what's cool is that as we talk to retailers, we're talking about, hey, there's actually a very low risk way you can launch with us. Just start sending us orders, right? Like start sending us orders. See what your customers think about the white label, right? See what your customers say about our delivery, right? And oftentimes it's phenomenal, right? Because hey, we have a retailer that we're working with where we're doing their white label order. Similar thing, we did their white label before we did their marketplace, and their customers are like, hey, I'm never going to use these other services again because you guys are actually coming into my home, dropping stuff off. I know my driver, right? Can I get Spencer again? That's the type of stuff we get in support because that's the type of
that's the magic
relationship we build with our customers. So. Because of that, when we're able to launch with a white label model, there's not a lot of upfront risk for the retailer. It's really, hey, what's your volume? How many orders can you send us? We ship a few trucks out there. We ship a few drivers out there. We have a city manager, and we can get going for a substantial fraction of the cost of the other providers, right? So once we do that, then we're able to add these additional, layers, marketplaces, CPG advertising, and that's how we were able to grow the market.
So when you say that, give us some of your orders, there's a footprint associated with them being able to technically deliver that
Correct.
to you. So you
Correct.
walk them through that whole process
Correct.
of being able to engage that, and that's where you say it's a low footprint and it's a low cost investment for them to be able to do that.
Correct. And we try to understand that retailers really that their need. What are they trying to go after? Are they trying to do really affordable delivery? Are they having problems with great customer experience? What are they trying to do? And as we look at the nation as a whole, right? The great thing is that everyone got exposure to grocery delivery during the pandemic. And so us going in and saying, hey, we're that but cheaper is just a winning pitch. It's a winning pitch. Yeah. One, that opens up a lot of markets for us. But we believe our core, competency or core markets are kind of these tier 3, tier 4 suburban land, right? Suburbia kind of has strong suburban outer ring. That's where I think we're going to see the most success right now as we pick our battles. And strong community, strong neighborhood. Like I can't stress that enough. We take the time to go into the neighborhood and activate the neighborhood so that we can get 15, 20 stops an hour. And that only happens when we're literally going door to door.
And I've got to imagine that as you start to create critical mass of retailers within your platform or your delivery area, it makes it easier for you to approach other retailers.
Oh, 100%.
Because they're missing out. Right. They're not in the equation. They're not one of the stops that you're making as part of the aggregated stock up trip. At that point,
it's, hey, do you want to be the part of the stock up trip or not, right? And this is so valuable.
The most important trip, right? This is so from valuable. A profitability standpoint.
Because it's the incremental stock up trip, right? Like once because we have data to show that when a consumer moves to Buncha to do their stock up trips, they actually order more on a monthly basis, right? It's not the same stock up trip they're moving onto Buncha. They're ordering more often. And that's, I think, what's key is you're getting more value out of the consumer.
Because they're seeing value and they realize, why do I put through the headache of driving to 5 different stores when I can just plan it out and my cost is $3.45 or less if I'm getting some kind of a brand offer?
Well, we actually just launched a subscription. So it's $9.99 a month and $99 a year and unlimited delivery.
That is phenomenal. If you calculate that out, Sri, that's less than what it costs to subscribe to Prime.
You're correct.
That's a pretty good feature. All right. So obviously you have a white label solution, but a lot of your volume comes through your own branded app. If that's going to resonate with consumers, it's not only just the delivery at the end. That's the critical part, right? Do I get my products on time and are they good quality and am I happy with that? But in order to make that happen, you have to have a very good customer experience on your app. Yeah. So I want to hear about your in-app customer experience. What's new? What's changed? And how are you streamlining so that you're reducing friction in your customers' ability to find what they want in order to get it delivered through Buncha?
Great question. This is why having that core thesis for the entire company is so important, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone on my team wakes up in the morning and we say, how do we make the most affordable way to get groceries delivered? Like that's our mission statement, and how do we become ubiquitous for the weekly shopper to get the essentials they need? And the way we do that is, I like saying, we're fast where it counts, right? We're fast in the app. We don't want you to spend 2 hours shopping on our mobile application. That's why the minute you go into the app, you have a quick list. You have a favorites list. You see your past order. When you click on a store, you actually get a list of all the order items you ordered last time. Tap, 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 checkout, right? We actually don't want you to spend a bunch of time in search and browse because we know that most of the stuff you're ordering is stuff you've already bought, So that's really important.
So you're not overburdening them with the discovery element of the process. Exactly. You're enabling them, if they want to just get the items that they always get and get in and out of the transactions as quickly as possible.
And one of the things that we're building is even this is something we're trying to test with our subscribers here that we just launched. But, can we even suggest, right? Like, hey, we know you order, orange juice every 3 weeks. Like, you're probably running out. Can we get it for you on the next trip?
AI in action.
Basically. So, and we have a very, very strong technical team that's, working on stuff like that, which is pretty cool. So, I think that when really to boil it down, the whole CX of Buncha for a customer is around, let's learn what do you order all the time, and let's make it as stupid easy as possible for you to get those whenever you need it.
Buncha. It's stupid easy. I love that.
Yeah, Buncha.
You know what just clicked in my head?
What?
Bunch the orders.
Bunch the orders. You
A
just
bunch of
got
neighbors
this.
Saving a bunch of money on a bunch of groceries.
Saving a bunch of money.
Wow, that actually
Because
this
of the
is
value
catchy.
proposition.
This is catchy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we talked a little bit about quite a bit about grocery intermediary and how
Yep.
to focus on convenience. What I don't want to forget is convenience matters. It may only be a fifth of the pie. So you're thinking about that space in the future. Are you strictly, in your mission statement saying, hey, we're going to be that pantry stock up trip and that's who we are?
Well, here's the thing, right? Like we, the reality is we can focus on that, and we do focus on that. But we know our CPG partners and our retail partners, they still want to get those, kind of end of impulse purchases,
Could
right?
be more snacks,
More
beverages.
snacks, and those kind of things.
But your consumers understand after they've started to use the service when you deliver, and frankly, when they can continue to add items. So it's up until basically a couple
2
hours before.
the window.
That is a pretty good timeliness of understanding, okay, if it's coming within 2 hours, I can get my immediate need thing right now.
And I think that's a common misconception, right? It's like people are like, Buncha's only scheduled, they only come once a week. We have zones in Minneapolis where we deliver at the same store every week because we have so much demand for it.
Yeah.
So essentially it's same day delivery. I hate to say that, but it's, you're still getting delivery today. The delivery window is just scheduled.
Yeah.
And so we've already planned the labor, we planned the infrastructure requirements. The one thing I wanted to say too is that, for brands and partners that want to add themselves to the stock up trip, right, which would be an impulsive purchase, right, is there's opportunities in the app. So we're thinking about like, hey, you added these items. Would you like to add these?
Interested in this snack?
Exactly. So let's get smart about adding additional items to cart at checkout, and really focus on how do we make this as easy as possible for the customer to try this item out and make it part of their stock up trip next week.
Understood.
All right, let me close this out. Looking towards the future, I want to understand that there's still a lot of change going on.
Yep.
We saw hyperinflation during the aftermath of the pandemic. That's starting to come down. There's a lot of pressure on retailers around price. Consumers are very concerned. What are some of the trends you see evolving around? And that's had an impact on a lot of the delivery services. So what do you see as being some of the predominant trends you're paying attention to around delivery that makes you think, hey, I think we're charting the right path with Buncha?
I think things are going to get more expensive, right? And things are going to continue to get more expensive, and people are going to look for more affordable options. And I think that the adoption from the consumer side of BOPUS options just speaks to that, right? People don't want to pay 40%, 30% over their in-store price. People want the affordability, right?
They also don't want to pay $40 to have a meal for a single person delivered to their house.
Exactly. And
This is crazy.
The other important thing to note is investor appetite to subsidize that growth has also disappeared.
Yeah.
Right. So like I'm getting pushed every day on, hey, are your unit economics healthy? Right. I have to answer to that.
Yeah.
So instead of funding to get to scale to make the unit economics sense, we from day one are trying to make them make sense today.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's really
Smart
important.
move.
That's really important for
Well, I know from a capital perspective, if you are at profitability or approaching it, suddenly the capital reserves start to open up.
become much more interesting.
If I made a statement like, I believe Buncha is the long-term community grocery pantry delivery platform of choice for customers, brands, and retailers, then the viability of that long-term word in there comes from getting it right up front. Whereas most of the
100%.
others have tested the other equation,
Right.
given up services, not in business anymore,
Right.
things of that nature.
Right. I think the other, this is just funny to me, right? Is that like, Amazon is the kind of trendsetter here, and they went super fast, and then now they're kind of slowing down a little bit, right? Same day, next day. So I just
Also, fresh stores, they didn't open any this year.
Same day, next day, and I think that it's just funny, and this is like a thing I've seen on LinkedIn because both Amazon and Walmart at their like last earnings call were like, hey, we deliver X number of items same day or next day, and that was like something people picked up on because it was like, hey, wait, I thought it was instant. Like what? Why? So we fit into that very, very, very well, right? Like the people are realizing not everything has to be delivered instantly. Time might not be the critical factor. It might actually be service quality and reliability. So from a retailer perspective, as they're thinking about, hey, how do we, had these options for consumers to be more affordable, more reliable, capture delivery market share by being cheaper. We're testing a slogan here. We're 20% cheaper than the other guys. Try us out, like our Geico, right? 50% cheaper.
Right.
So that's something we're testing out. And then on the other side, from a consumer side, things getting more expensive, and they also want a more reliable option. I think we'll meet somewhere in the middle here, and that's why once again I just want to reiterate as we wrap up, like we are actively looking, and because we know retailers and brands are receptive right now, we're actively looking for launch partners for our next dozen markets, through 24 and into 25, and that's something we're out there to find.
So let me remind our audience that you can find all of our content simply by going to a web browser and typing cpgguys.com in the URL. If you think your community has some thought leadership to contribute to our discussions, drop us an email at contact@cpgguys.com. Again, that's contact@cpgguys.com, and maybe you can join us on the podcast. Don't forget to drop us a rating at cpgguys.com in the navigation bar up top, because it helps us define doing this right. Thank you to the 32,000 plus followers on LinkedIn. Peter and I are overwhelmed, but also grateful and thankful. Without you, the show doesn't exist. We never thought we'd get such a followership, but here we are, Bharat. I know this is a busy day for you because you got something special going on with expansion plans, but you made time for the CPG guys and recorded this past podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Honored to be here, guys. Thank you.
Peter, I want to ask you to summarize it because I think we got quite a bit of content out today. This is a powerful platform. I'm looking forward to seeing and enjoying the expansion. But Bharat, I got to just scold you once. Get to LA, man.
Yeah, and after that, New Haven, Connecticut. We're in desperate need.
Gotcha.
All right, that sounds good.
95, I'm on every week.
I love talking about the last mile delivery ecosystem, Shri. It's very fascinating. They built a better mousetrap here at Buncha. It's why we're associated with them. It's so fascinating. Can't wait to see what they have in store when we speak with Bharat again later this year.
Thank you, folks. That's a wrap of this episode. See you soon on another episode of the CPG Guys.
The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.